And coming at you live through the power of the internet, we have the Backrooms movie, which is funny
I
because
think you mean the
the Backrooms, it sort of
the
originally came at us
backroom
live through the power of the internet, and now it's coming at us live through the power of movie theater movie theater magic, the silver screen.
movie magic. Yeah, the back rooms are now on the big screen. Some would call them the big rooms now.
And they're essentially no different than what they were on the internet before. There has been virtually no
Nope.
change made to the format, and it just has been updated from a very short series of videos to a damn near 2 hour movie, which, okay,
I think you
terrible.
mean a very long series of videos
Well, it's a
on the
long
big
series of
screen.
videos, yes, but the videos themselves are quite short. They're quite brief, right?
Oh yeah.
And they kind of take advantage
No,
of.
I mean that this movie is it went from a series of small videos on the internet to now it is a series of very long videos on the internet and not much more.
Are you like listening to me? Are you like developmentally disabled?
I mean,
I,
probably.
I said, I said it's been adapted from a series of short videos on the internet into a damn near 2 hour movie with virtually no change. And then you just said the exact same thing I said.
Oh, well, that's embarrassing.
Wow. Looks like you need to go back to
Uh,
class, buddy. Okay, anyway. Um,
uh, we tried very hard to uh to find the reasoning behind making this movie. It was a, it was not found, to
well,
say the
well,
least.
ultimately, the reasoning behind making it is that it's a very popular concept on the internet, right? And anytime I see one of
Yeah.
these projects get announced, where it's like, oh, we're adapting this thing that was kind of like a viral trend on the internet or something, I'm always nervous. I always get nervous immediately. I'm like, mm, it
Well,
was
don't worry,
special,
Wilson.
whatever the thing was, it was special in its own way, and
We
it
got
was there
we
at the
got the
right
Five Nights at Freddy's movie,
it
and it
was
was
there at the
awesome.
right like cultural moment, you know, and it was in the correct
Yeah.
format for what it is, and that's why those things were successful. And then like, okay, we're gonna make them into a movie, and it probably is gonna be successful because it has a draw to it, but maybe not the best track record of these things happening. Like the Slender Man movie back in 2018, that movie
There was a
was.
Slenderman movie?
Yes, there was, and that
Oh
movie
my
was so
gosh.
bad that it basically killed Slenderman. Like
Uh,
after that movie came out, like people pretty much abandoned the concept of Slenderman as a thing because it was that damaging. Um, then there have been two Five Nights at Freddy's movies, which have both been pretty terrible.
yeah.
But the first one was pretty terrible and hilarious, and the second one was way less hilarious and way more terrible.
Huh.
And I'm sure there's other examples that I'm just forgetting, but we have
I'm
now
trying
got
to think.
the most recent one that's a big deal. It's making a lot of money right now. It's once again outperforming Star Wars, and and it's based on the Backrooms, and it's made by the original Backrooms creator, Kane Pixels, or really his name is Kane
Kane
Parcel.
Pixel. Yeah. The weird thing about this is he's technically not the creator of the Backrooms. Um, I am a my experience with the Backrooms is small to say the least. Until watching this movie, my only experience was like I saw clips from his YouTube shorts. Um, but basically the Backrooms was like in 2019, someone made this creepy pasta 4chan post and was like, if you clip out of reality, you end up in this place where the only smell is the smell of mold on the moist carpets, and the only noise is the flickering of the lights. And it was like this creepy yellow room. The original photo is actually from a post on Internet Archives about renovating a furniture store. Oh, maybe that'll be part of the movie, a
Oh
furniture store.
yeah, furniture store. That's riveting
Uh,
stuff.
but But basically, all the pictures of this renovation were deleted except this creepy picture of a really empty, large room with yellow walls and fluorescent lights. And thus the Backrooms was born.
Yeah,
And then
pretty
in I
much.
think 2020, or I guess he's 20 years old now, so it was 4 years ago. So in 2022, Kane Pixels started making little YouTube videos, really suspenseful short clips about the Backrooms. And the Backrooms was this place that, from what you've told me, there was no explanation of it. There was no like true understanding of what it was. It was basically just like someone would phase into this reality where you're in an abyss of strange looking office buildings, and there were monsters and they were chasing and blah 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 blah.
Blah 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 blah. Yeah, I I like I kind of like the original concept, I guess. Like you, I wasn't exactly in the loop on the Backrooms. I just happened to exist on the internet at the time that it was getting really viral. And yeah, first thing, it is a horror concept that really relies on ambiguity and not a lot of information and short kind of like a short context where the guy with the camera that we're following, we have absolutely no idea who he is. So you don't need to worry about that in terms
Yeah.
of like the logistics of that. It's just he is in the back rooms and he's walking around for a few minutes and, there might be some creature in there with him. And it came
Uh-huh.
around right at the moment when it was going to be successful, right at the moment where people were going to be like, oh, that's so cool, and get on board with it. And then the problem you get with it is like what happens when something that relies on ambiguity starts to get over explained. So then
Yeah.
you get a lot of this stuff with like there's a company that's like investigating the back rooms and they all have like suits and they know how to handle the and oh it's just so cringe. It's really cringe.
It's yeah.
I'm not a fan of when we bring in
But the
like government
people
agencies into our horror concepts because it just immediately shuts down any element of like fear, right?
and that will happen in this movie. Don't worry, dear viewer.
Yeah, unfortunately.
The most annoying part of this is like I guess it's not annoying. The people on the internet really, really enjoyed these little short films, and it turned from this weird creepypasta to an internet phenomenon over the past few years where I guess apparently, according to the defenders of this movie, everybody who hates this movie is basing like the explanation is if you didn't like this movie, it's because you went into the movie expecting like the movie to be like the clips from the Roblox games. And I guess I didn't know anything about the Roblox games. I didn't realize that it was a Roblox game until after I watched the
Not
movie.
just a Roblox
And
game.
so I guess,
There's tons of like backroomsy games, and that's one of the things I was gonna say of like the essentially the mainstreamization of this horror concept kind of ruined it because on the one side you had people who didn't take it seriously at all and they would make like the meme
yeah.
clips where it's like you're being chased by a PNG of Kanye West in the back rooms or like Shrek's in the back rooms, he's gonna get you. And that was funny, right? And then on the other side
Yeah.
you had the people who like almost took it too seriously and blew it out of proportion where they're like there's all these levels in the back rooms, you go to these different levels and they have different survival ratings and like this one's the pool level and this one's the this level and like there's these various monsters and the company's fighting them. It's just exhausting. I'm already done. It's like SCP
Yeah.
but way worse because the SCP concept from like the jump was always there is an organization that is in charge of controlling uh these essentially creatures, beings, or entities, and anybody can come up with an
Uh-huh.
entity and add it to like the list. And like this one would be
Yeah.
SCP-475. This one is a chair where if you no that was actually the original one SCP-1. It was just a chair,
Uh-huh.
and anytime you weren't looking at it, it would teleport right behind you so that you could sit down on it if you wanted. and that's all it is. It's like
Wait, is that a Backrooms thing?
no, no, that's SCP.
What's SCP?
I just described it to you. It's
Oh,
the secure containment protocol. It's a very old school like internet trend
oh,
where,
okay.
like I said, there's a government agency that is in charge of
Yeah, okay.
controlling different entities, and like people would
Uh-huh.
collaborate to come up with tons of different ones.
Yeah, okay.
It
That's
was
interesting.
it's more interesting, right? Because from the jump, the concept is already like they're keeping these insane entities contained and
Yeah.
preventing them from causing
Uh-huh.
like attacking. But anyway, the gamification of the back rooms, the kind of there's too much. There's just too much information now. And then
Yeah. Y-
the movie takes the opposite approach, where the movie is very much interested in kind of adapting the back rooms from its base form, very simple, very little information. Uh, the problem with that though is you can make an accurate adaptation of that, but how effectively can you translate that into a nearly 2 hour movie that is interesting the whole way through? And I'm not going to say you
Yeah.
can't do that, but they didn't do that.
They definitely didn't do it. The biggest like I guess I don't want to say the biggest problem, but like it is a big problem when the premise of your movie is based off of like other content that's not in the movie or understand like even like you'll see things where someone will watch a show or a movie and they'll be and not enjoy it and the defenders of that piece of content will be like, oh well, you didn't read the book, there's explanations of why this thing happened in the book. And it's like, okay, if your media depends on me consuming a different form of media to understand it, that's a problem. But not only for that, that's a problem in itself. The problem with the Backrooms movie is that not only are the people saying, "Oh, you have to watch the Backrooms to get it," it's like watching the Backrooms doesn't make you get it. There's no explanation of the story in the Backrooms. The Backrooms is just like clips of scary things. The people defending it are really just saying it's supposed to be slow and you're walking around while noises happen. And that's one thing for a really short form of content. That's not something that you can do for 2 hours. But they did it for 2 hours, and boy, oh boy.
Yeah, like you, like I said to you yesterday, they're like, oh, it was supposed to be like that. It's like, yeah, but that doesn't mean it isn't like that. It still is. I can take a shit on your floor, and you'd be like, well, what? Why'd you do that? And I'd be like, well, I did it on purpose. And what are you supposed to do with that? It's like,
Th
oh, good, you did it on
around
purpose.
like the halfway
That
point,
fixes it.
I whispered this to you in the movie, but I'm an amateur creepypasta internet person, very amateur. I only know a few, um,
You know
but
the greats,
basically,
Spire in the
I know
Woods,
the
Pen
greats.
Pal,
Watching this, watching
classics.
this movie, I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, this is just if you take the left-right game and make it the worst possible version of the left-right game. Imagine the left-right game, except nothing happens.
Yeah, the left right
Imagine the
game
left-right
is
game, except it's all
like
just footage of them driving.
it's this concept, but much more interesting, isn't it? Because it's like a liminal space
Much more
horror
interesting.
completely. But
Yeah, because
there's like 8 characters in that story who are all very interesting and all have their own little arcs they go on, and there's tons of dialogue where they're just talking about themselves and how they like interact with the world.
even down to like all of their nicknames. All their nicknames are like really important to who they are as people throughout the story. But like the biggest thing in comparing the left right game to the Backrooms is they essentially have the same concept of someone exploring this unknown realm that's like infinite and very weird. And for anybody who doesn't know what the left right game is, the left right game is basically a a game on the internet. I don't like everybody knows the Bloody Mary thing. You stand up in the middle of the night. It's something along the lines of that, except you get in a car and you do a series of your first left right, your first left hand turn, your first right hand turn, and you do that. And after a certain amount of time, you end up teleporting into this infinite world that is different than Earth, very similar to how the Backrooms is like a flumpification of the real world.
Yeah,
The left
bloopification.
right game is like that as well. And the road will try and trick you. There will be crazy things that happen. And like if you look at the timeline of these two movies, I saw something on the internet that in the Backrooms time is different, but that's never explained in the movie, so I'm going to assume that time is normal.
It could be different. You
The
never. I don't
left
know. I
right
don't think we
game
have enough
story,
information to assume one way or
yeah,
the other.
yeah.
Maybe
The
they
left
do on the
right game
internet.
and the Backrooms take place across about the same amount of time. And so much happens in the left right game because even though it's like, they spend for 4 days or something, they're driving 18 hours a day. There's so much that happens because when they're driving, the writer isn't like, and now they took a left turn and drove, and on this drive there was nothing. No, they're they're fast forwarding to the important parts. And that's not just like, oh, something's happening. Like at this moment on the drive there was this dialogue that's really important to these characters and their story. The Backrooms movie is just it's like if you did the opposite. If you cut out all of the important parts and the dialogue and the character work, and you just showed the footage of them driving on the road.
Yeah, there's like two scenes in the movie of
And then
character
everybody
work.
gets mad and they're
Two.
like, it's a, yeah.
You're just
And then
mad that it.
everybody
You're
in
just
the
mad that it
audience is like
accurately
getting mad
adapted the
at people
source
for
material.
hating. You're just mad that there's too many rooms in the back rooms. You're just mad that there's too much walk back rooms.
Okay, listen. All right, listen. I think the lesson to
Another
take.
thing I
What?
wish
What? Hello?
I was just gonna say, like, there's a meme in. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You just are not talking.
Oh, what? I was talking.
I know you were.
I don't know. I'll continue. You have confused me. You have gravely
The
confused me.
viewers will
Anyways,
understand. They'll be on my
um,
side.
there's a meme in the YouTube critique thing, or in like the storytelling arc, where is the perfect story a picture or like a video of a chair sitting in an empty room for 2 hours? Because the theory behind this is that 2 hours of footage of a chair is a story that has no problems. There's no plot holes. There's no nothing. But that doesn't work because a good story, the perfect story, has a lot of elements to it other than just not plot holes. You have to have a story. But the Backrooms movie is basically just the footage of the chair. Maybe there's no plot holes. I think there's a lot of plot holes in this movie to begin with. But it's like there's no plot holes because nothing happened.
Yeah, it's kind of difficult to even criticize like events in this film, honestly.
The only like actual criticisms that can be made, other than a couple like things, is like people just act not like real people. The humans in this world are like the Blumhouse plant people that we were talking about, but for some reason it's an A24 movie.
Yeah, the Blumhouse plant people. Uh, it's a little bit. This is a little bit just like we don't love to make a video like this just being unhappy, right? But ultimately, I
Yeah,
think we can try to extract some lessons here, and the lesson I want to extract is that adaptations are hard. They're not
adaptations are really
easy.
hard.
There's a reason why uh, a, a a form of media or a story was presented in a certain format, and a lot of times that's because that just happened to be the format that was available to the creator. That being said, even if that's the case, they still, when they're crafting whatever they're making, they're going to craft it to fit that media format that they have access to very well. If someone's writing a book, they're going to make a story that works really well as a book. If someone's making a movie, they're going to format it appropriately for a movie, etc., etc. And then when you try
Yeah,
to adapt that media into a different format, you have to figure out how am I going to preserve the how am I going to preserve as much of this as possible while also creating something that works in this new format.
in a new
And
format.
then
Yeah,
inevitably they make changes, and you have like a fandom split between people who are upset that their favorite detail maybe wasn't included, or why'd they change this, or why'd they change that, they should have been more faithful. And then if it is ultimately faithful, the end result is often that the adaptation doesn't work in isolation, and people who aren't super invested in the back rooms, like we aren't, go to see it just wanting to see a movie that is reasonably interesting, has some decent characters, is kind of scary, and we are profoundly disappointed. Like like last week's video, I said nothing happens in The Mandalorian and Grogu. Perhaps I treated you too harshly, little one. You know, it's a terrible movie.
it
It's a completely terrible movie, but
is an atrocious movie.
events occur consistently that we can talk about.
Events occur
So now,
in a matter that can only be described as fucking somehow
yeah,
the
it's like
events
it's
occur.
insane. It's terrible.
But
It's
this movie,
catastrophic. And when I say nothing happens, I mean it more metaphorically in terms of like there's no attempt to tell a real story in there.
yeah,
This movie
mhm,
literally nothing happens. There's like
yeah,
there's enough content here to make like a short film out of, like a 20-minute short horror film, and I feel like this movie would have been way better as a 20-minute short horror film. A lot
yeah.
of the
I agree with you.
a
I
lot
think
of the
like
stuff in here that's interesting
the,
could have been like salvaged and put in a 20-minute, 30-minute short horror film and been pretty effective.
yeah, absolutely. Like it's the problem of I we'll talk more about it when we start doing the scene by scene, but I am astonished at the choices they made when writing this movie in how much of the stuff happens off screen. How much of like the actual important stuff in the story is not shown at all. The actual character arcs, I'm not joking. The main character arc of the story happens completely off screen.
So
Not a single
depressing.
part
So
of the character arc
depressing.
is shown.
Yeah, but then they'll be like, "Oh, but
We
we were shown it when she found him again." It's like, "Yeah, yeah,
We were shown
but
the
like
beginning of
can
his
we see
arc,
it happen to
the
him?"
middle of his arc, and the end of his arc.
I would
We
love to
were
see
not
him go
shown
through
how
his
we got
journey, you
to
know?
any other point.
Yep. Yep.
Ugh.
Bad
You know how
decisions, I think.
in the obsession video you were talking about when you write stories, and you were basically like, when I write a story, I start with the big payoffs that I want, overarching story, and then when I'm actually writing, the thing I'm doing is wondering how do I get to the place that I want to take this story to in a way that makes sense and is enjoyable. This feels to me like the textbook example of someone was like, I want this payoff, but I don't know how to get there. So they just skipped it. They legitimately just skip it and get
I
to the
have the
payoff.
opposite perspective that you do actually. I think I think this is the rare example of a movie where they wrote a story with build up and payoffs and then they just removed the payoffs. They just went through and removed, which is a
I
choice, you know? Usually people would go the opposite way, where they like rush to the payoffs, or the path to get there doesn't make any sense. But this movie was like, nah, you know what? No payoffs.
well,
Anyway,
they tell you about the payoffs. They say the payoffs. They just don't show them. That's the thing.
I am
They like the
probably
movie.
I'm probably about ready to start the scene by scene here if you are.
All right.
So
Yeah, I think so.
all right, I'm gonna stop the recording now. Well, here we are back again. Time for the scene by scene. Um,
Welcome to the bathrooms.
so I do have a form of notes. Um, I will say
This was a.
a lot of these
Go
notes are
ahead,
just
sorry.
a lot of these notes are just like he walks into another room. He sees this. He hears this noise. He walks into another room. He sees this. He hears these noises, and that's kind of just on repeat. But the movie opens
This.
with like a
I,
POV camp. What?
I was just gonna say this movie was like a miraculous experience for me because there was so much downtime where nothing happens that I was able to take like absurd notes. I have so much written down. Uh,
I think this movie
all
is
right, let's.
miraculous in that it will almost certainly be our shortest scene by scene breakdown, almost by far.
Oh yeah, definitely. It will mostly just be us talking about why on earth they chose to do the things they chose to do.
So we get an opening, which is I think it's gonna be a POV from one of the company employees, and
Yes.
he is in the bathroom. He's in the backrooms. Whoops. And
Freudian slip.
he grabs his bag and he's recording through a camera, and that's how we're seeing. And he sees a big wire, which he then follows,
Yeah.
and it leads to a room full of like a bunch of recording equipment.
Yeah, it's
And
like a broadcasting room with a bunch of cords leading to it, and he's following the cords to get back there.
conspicuous lack of furniture, by the way. He goes up to a microphone and he says, "Can you hear me? I've been separated and I've never been this far out before." And then he says, "There's something in there with him and he needs help." Uh, and we hear like a
But
weird
the
sound. What?
yeah, the broadcast equipment doesn't work. It's a flumpy broadcast system. It don't work to talk to people.
Oh, I didn't even pick up on that. I just thought like he
That
talked to
was what the
people and
weird
then it didn't
sound
do
was.
anything. Oh,
Oh.
well, there's a sound, and then a bird like gets thrown or flies in, and it like crashes into the wall. And he goes over to mess with it, and it flies off. And there's like another thing I hate in a lot of horror movies is when the jump scare comes from the music and not from what's actually
Yes.
happening in the movie. Because there's like a really
That will happen a lot
dramatic
here.
music sting as the bird flies off. And then he goes out, and
Yeah.
there's like a pirate ship steering wheel on the wall, which you gotta wonder if that's supposed to somehow connect with what happens later. But I don't know why it would, considering that at this point, as far as we know, Man, as I call him, hasn't even gone into the back rooms yet. Unless this is like we're meant to think this is happening after. But
Well, this is happening in June 29th, 1990, and I don't know when we are resuming into the story.
I don't either. It could be happening before. This could be a prequel. This could also be a sequel. But there is a pirate ship
Yeah.
wheel on the wall, and I got lost in the notes. Oh yeah, there's a sign that says no credit. So I do think that
Oh, so that's definitely a connection.
for some reason, the backrooms are already like taking on traits relating to him, relating to Man.
Yeah.
I'm not
Uh-huh.
sure why, unless this happened. Maybe this opening happens after, or maybe the backrooms were always sort of calling to him for some reason.
Yeah.
And then we hear like a creepy little music box, which is a very played out trope in horror, and it's even more played out when like the cause of the music box isn't even something relevant to the horror. Like it's not like a creepy doll or a creepy music box. They just put that sound in because it's creepy. And it's not. It's actually not creepy at all. And we hear a door opening. Something comes out and chases him into this room that is like covered in a wallpaper that looks like mountain ranges and cool forests. And then he runs out and he crashes into the thing, and the camera falls on the ground. We hear him screaming, and the camera cuts out. And that's the first scene. Do you have any thoughts on it at all?
Now, you might be wondering, wow, that was a really short opening scene. No, that was almost probably an 8-minute scene. of
Was
him
it seriously that
walking
long?
around. I'm pretty sure it was 8 to 10 minutes. It was really long, and you weren't even there in the start of it, I don't think. Or did you get there at the very beginning? I don't
Yeah, I
know.
got there in the middle of the
It
previews.
was,
Remember, because
yeah, that's right.
we were
Um,
laughing at the Evil Dead
oh yeah, we
preview.
were laughing at the Evil Dead one. Yeah,
that was
yeah,
a
it was a.
that was a funny preview, man. That was a funny trailer.
If stuff happened in the movie, it might have been a cool opening, but nothing happens
I
with
don't know.
any of the work that's done.
It was very like it was very like what you would expect in a horror movie. Like a lot of horror movies do this thing where they have the cold open where the unrelated side characters get killed by whatever the threat is. And then we cut
Yeah.
to the main characters and we're like, all right, now they have to contend with, whatever that was. And I'm not a big fan of it because I I
No.
just
Sometimes it's
go
it's
away.
a good thing.
A lot of the horror I enjoy is when
Uh,
the event that's happening is specific to that character because in some way the scary event interplays with some kind of psychology of theirs. But like
uh-huh.
I mean this movie is just it wants to argue that that's happening, but that is just plainly not the case.
This is like I told my friend who enjoyed this movie. I said my experience watching this movie was like I'm at the art museum with the banana duct taped to the wall, and then the soundtrack is screaming at me the whole time. This is art. This is art. This is art,
Oh
and
yeah,
like
it's
shoving
once
it down my
again the
throat while I'm
overbearing
like trapped.
soundtrack. This we brought that up with
Uh,
Obsession, but it is much worse in this movie.
yeah.
It is
No
way
no music
worse.
nuance in this movie.
So loud. Okay, well
Uh,
we go to the second scene, which is our setup for therapy lady. So there's like a transition shot where I guess her and her younger form and her sister are like
I thought it was her mom,
it could have
or is it
been.
her sister? I don't know.
It could have been.
It's not explained at all. It's
It's
just a
not
person
very
that's next to a
clear.
child. For all we know, the child isn't actually the therapy lady either. It's just a random kid.
It could be anyone, but I think it's safe to assume that it's therapy lady. Anyway, the construction workers
Yeah.
dump trash on them, and then it cuts to her as an adult watching some construction workers doing stuff, and there's like a bunch of guys with sledgehammers breaking rocks. It's all very interesting. And she does a monologue. Now, one thing about this
Okay,
movie,
wait. So you're a little bit wrong. You got a little bit wrong. So
I'm certain I
it's
did.
the
You're gonna have to help
establishing
me.
shot. The establishing shot is her as a child putting her hand into wet concrete. And that is like it's supposed to be like our grounding shot of this is her home. Her childhood handprint is in the concrete here, but later we will learn that her childhood was very traumatizing, so I don't know why she's so attached to this spot.
I
um
guess trauma's weird,
but
man. You never know
then
what
you get
people are
this
gonna do.
funny shot. You get this funny shot where the camera is under the girls as they're putting the handprint in, and you see like a backhoe with a bunch of gunk, and it dumps it, and we learn that these are two different these aren't happening in the same timeline. This is like a symbolism of I'm going to say symbolism a lot in this video. I know that the word is symbolism is a meme, but it's a symbolism for like her childhood being destroyed, because that's her flashback, and then it cuts to they are demolishing her childhood house, and she's standing there watching, and it is the strangest demolition crew of all time. There are three guys with sledgehammers. They are sitting in the driveway with the sledgehammers, and they're just hitting a pile of rocks.
Yeah,
They're not
they're breaking the
actually
rocks. That's what they're
doing
doing.
any demolition.
No, they're breaking the
There,
rocks.
there's a pile of like rock rubble, and they're just hitting the pile, but they're not hitting the
No,
rocks.
this is
They're
very
just
normal.
swinging their sledgehammers
Dude,
into
this
this
is
pile.
this is
No,
very
it's
normal
not.
construction work. People break rocks with sledgehammers to make them more portable.
You're no.
I'm not rage
I
baiting
can't
you.
tell if you're rage
I'm
baiting me.
not. This is like completely
No,
genuine. This is the least of the problems
they
with this
aren't
movie.
big
This
rocks.
is the least of the problems with this
They are
movie.
the
We
size
have
of
bigger
river
fish to fry,
pebbles.
dude. We have bigger fish to fry. Okay? Which the fish
We
I
do
want
have
to
bigger
fry
fish to
now
fry.
is her monologue because this movie really cannot it's so odd. A lot of this movie leaves things so incredibly vague that you almost can't get anything out of it. But then it also refuses to let any of like the character development be subtext. It all has to be text. It all has to be directly stated, which which she does here.
It has to, yeah,
She
but that's
basically
because
says
if
what the
it
theme
wasn't
is.
directly stated, there would be no story.
She says the theme.
What is she? Did you write down her monologue? Because
I
I
I
just
wrote down I wrote down kind of what it is, the concept of the monologue, and then I wrote down an excerpt. So the monologue is about how in life we go on these loops of basically like we learn one way of operating in the world, and then we just keep doing that because it's the way that's always worked, and that ends up, reinforcing negative behaviors. And she says, "It's the neural pathway of least resistance, a path you made. It's the one that kept you safe when you were a child. You learned to push people away before they could hurt you. And now, as an adult, you're stuck right where you started." And then we cut to she's a therapist for Man Man. And the monologue that she's saying isn't just a monologue. She is saying it to him, and we get to
yeah.
learn about him, which is he owns a furniture store, and he's an alcoholic, and he says that it is better for him to be alone because he has a history of hurting people, and maybe being alone is not so bad. And she says, "Being alone feels deeply ingrained. I understand. Let's do some role play." Which this is
Uh,
very weird.
as I don't, I'm very confused because I've done therapy before, and I know many people who have done therapy before. This
I mean,
therapy
most people
lady
have in the modern
is
era.
the yeah, this therapy lady is the strangest therapist, and she does the strangest
Now,
things. Things that I've never encountered.
I'm
I
not
don't know
gonna
if this is
claim
like my experience or not.
I'm not gonna claim that I'm like a mental health professional or something. Because trust me, definitely not a professional. But I'm pretty sure like this is just weird. This is really weird. They start doing a role play where she plays as his ex-wife, and they basically recreate the conversation that he had with her the night that he did the thing that ruined it, the straw that broke the camel's back. And
Yeah.
I don't know what this is accomplishing from like a therapeutic standpoint. Usually you want to like unpack, hey, this is what I did. Ooh, why'd you do it? Let's trace why you did it back to whatever personality trait that came from whatever trauma and try to like deconstruct it or whatever. But this is they're not even doing that.
Yeah.
They're just reenacting a scene.
They're just
Which if
playing.
anything, I feel like that would make it
Yeah.
worse. Because you'd have to
Well, what
relive
I
that
have wrote
experience
is
in
that
a really.
she is just making him relive his pain. And I was like, is this the theme of the movie? I wrote potential theme question mark.
I wrote potential
Um,
evil therapist,
yeah. uh,
which I don't
but
think
then
that's
we
out of
get
the question
like
for this
there.
movie. It could be the case that she is an evil therapist,
Oh yeah, that's true. She
but
might be
the
the evil
the
therapist.
storyline of the role play is that like he basically was at work and he decided to have a bunch of beer, and then he came home and he accidentally broke a glass which woke his wife up, and she was super mad that he woke her up by breaking a glass, which okay, light sleeper as well. Like you're in a different room in a bedroom
Yeah.
sleeping and someone breaks a glass and you're like, I must immediately wake up. Um, but she goes out there and she's mad at him. And she's like, "Did you drink alcohol?" And he's like, "Yeah, I had a few beers." And she's like, it goes on and
Define
on.
a few.
Yeah, and he's like, "As
And
many."
he gets like super mad
Yeah,
and
he's
they
like,
and
"Who do you think has to work around here? You and your law school?" Which, dude, hey, listen, dude.
okay,
You understand how much
and here I have
how
a
much money you guys could potentially have if she graduates? Just lock in.
yeah. So this is taking place in the 90s, during an economic boom. And I have a problem here because the basis of like his hatred, I guess, or not his hatred, but he feels like he has to work to support her, which means he has to keep running this furniture store. However, what he actually wants to be is an architect. And she says, like in this monologue, "Oh, you're just upset because you wanted to be an architect and you're not an architect, and I'm following my dreams." And then he goes, "I am an architect. I just have to work for a living. Someone has to support your fat ass."
I am a
And
surgeon. I'm a surgeon. I'm a surgeon.
so this is where my problem starts because our dear friend Man in my notes he's Furniture Man. So if
I
you
think
hear us
Man Man
refer
is
to
better because
someone
that's
as
just
Man
essentially what
or
he is.
Furniture Man, I've decided he's Furniture Man. So his reality is that,
His real name is Clark, by the way,
just for
but I
everybody
don't
who knows
care.
out there, architecture is a very, very safe industry, especially in the 90s. Plenty of jobs, there would be no trouble getting a job. And if he like didn't finish 1 year of school or something, guess what? He is the owner of a very large furniture store. And for some reason, his he thinks that he must continue working day to day in this furniture store that is a crumbling business, or else he won't be able to survive. All you would
Well,
have to do,
hang
realistically, to
on.
become an architect is sell the business.
I'm gonna
And
play
then he's
devil's
free, and then he
advocate for
can
the
finish
movie here.
school and be an architect.
I'm gonna play devil's advocate for the movie here and say there's not enough information really about what their life circumstances are, so we can conclude that for whatever reason this is the only option he has right now, or it's like an ego thing where he's attached to a business that he wants to be successful because he doesn't want to like fail, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess, but that it's just like it doesn't
Once
make any
again, bigger
sense.
fish to
Why, if you
fry.
don't want to be a furniture salesman?
Maybe he does. He
Ah,
seems, invested in it. He does the whole pirate costume, and I guess
yeah.
he says he's an architect. Hey, or the Backrooms. Hey, it's a building. I mean, think about it.
But we cut from our
I'm
tremendous
trying to
therapy
I'm
scene
trying to
to
reach.
we cut from our tremendous therapy scene to Furniture Man is filming an ad for his furniture business, and he is dressed up as a pirate, and he has a peg leg, and he has a stuffed bird on his shoulder, and he's hobbling around in a pirate voice, talking about all the deals and how you don't need credit. Oh, that's a payout. That must be from the Backrooms thing that said no credit. But he's like, you don't need credit to get furniture here. The
That was so
90s were a
rude.
crazy time.
That was so rude. I like how angry he gets when he falls
uh,
over.
yeah, so he's like hobbling around and he sits in this chair at his furniture store while he's filming the ad. And the chair. So, what we're led to believe is that this chair breaks and he falls over. But if, like, this broke me because you're watching this pirate hobble around. He sits in the chair, and before the chair breaks, he like jumps up and like throws the chair to the side as the leg breaks off. So he has functionally fallen before the chair broke as the
I
chair
didn't
breaks
catch
under
that.
him, which also bigger fish to fry, but it was very funny. The chair like very obviously didn't actually break, or they didn't like make a prop with a broken chair leg. They just were like, okay, now throw the chair to the side, and then the the chair the chair leg will come loose.
It's one of those like funny special effects moments. Also, like complete worst case scenario for a furniture store ad is when you, a not like overweight person at all, sit in a piece of furniture it breaks. So that's why he
Yeah,
is he is livid. He's furious.
he is very
He
angry.
obviously has like
Uh,
anger issues. Obviously, clearly.
uh,
And then he's like cut, and they're like no, he can have this for his employees. This weird little like
yeah.
couple. They're like no, he can have it for the outtakes. He's like cut the film. Starts like crashing out. Samantha. Um.
Samantha.
Yeah, and
But
then he's in the
after the
office. Yeah.
film cuts, well, actually, before this, we get he goes, okay, Was her name Kat? I don't know. She's just girl in my notes. He goes, "Okay, girl,
I actually
you can open
remembered
the
Bobby
store
and Kat's
now."
names because they're my favorite characters.
But he goes, "You can open the store now," and she goes, "The store's already open. We've been open for half an hour, and the store is empty. This is symbolism that the business is failing."
Whoa, dude. I can't believe like
Whoa.
nobody goes to this business. Like usually a failing business, you'd have like a couple customers, but you know, there are
No.
zero people going to this business. This business arguably is like
Yeah.
it's probably being boycotted or something. He probably did something bad, and people are like, "Oh, we're not going to go to his business anymore."
Wait, remember that video that was like, "This movie is actually about the economic boom and the failing of the middle class psyche." Uh, that is a very funny thing to think about, that if this movie is about the economic boom, that means many people would be buying houses and many people would need furniture.
No, but there's that
So
other
it doesn't
guy.
make
There's
any
that
sense
other
why
guy who's
there's two
outperforming him.
furniture stores.
The other guy is just way better. He's smoking him in the market. And Man cannot do anything about
His
it. No matter
cowboy
how
ads are
low
so
he
much
sets his
better.
prices, it's over, man. I do wonder if like the
It's
store is
over.
maybe somehow like a government or a company like owned front and they somehow keep people from coming to buy furniture.
Oh,
But I don't know how they would do that. Like they just put signs up that are like
yeah,
"Don't
I don't
go
know how they
here,"
would do that either.
and then he would take them down
Well, they just
or be like, "What is this?"
they just created the opponent furniture store, and they just do way better with that one. They don't
Yeah,
try with the theme parks.
the opponent's store is operated by the company. We used to make MRI machines, and now we make furniture.
Now we sell furniture. But
It's
we get a
literally like
scene
when
of
the
him like
CIA
in the
sold crack in the
office.
80s. That's just what it is. Yeah, and then we do go to the office, and there's like an
Uh,
electrician, and he's like, there's all these problems, and he's like, I thought I fixed it. I thought I paid the bill. I got the money. Bah. This is establishing that there are money
oh.
problems in the business. So then they go down.
Ah,
I
it's
don't care about that
wonderful.
scene at all, and they go down to the basement, which is set up to be like maybe a house model. I don't know.
Yeah.
It looks very
Uh,
backroomsy. I will say that.
yeah. What did I?
I almost would have preferred it if like the furniture store or wherever the door to the back rooms is like extremely lively place, you know? Like there's stuff everywhere. It
That's
looks
what I
very
thought it would be,
unique.
but it
And then
is.
there's the
Yeah.
contrast, but like that's not the way they
Uh-huh.
chose to go. Whatever, not a big deal.
It's just a very empty room. Yeah.
But they go to the circuit
But
breaker and it
they,
appears that a breaker has appeared, that an additional breaker that wasn't there before is now there. Or maybe he
yeah,
didn't see it
and
before.
it's at a weird orientation. It is not placed like a normal breaker. And the electrician is like, it's as if someone just stuck it in there.
Yeah,
And they start
someone probably did.
they start flipping and flopping it, but nothing turns off and nothing turns on.
And then we
What could
get
it be?
and then we get Kat from upstairs and she goes, "The rat's back." And he says, "I thought we killed the rat." And she says, "We killed a rat." And frankly, I was offended by this scene.
I was deeply offended as
Why
well.
would you do
Yeah,
this to the poor
this hurt
innocent rat?
me.
Those are the only customers you've had in like months, years even, and you kill them?
Rats need furniture too.
Yeah,
In fact, I'm sitting on furniture right now. I'm an
as am I.
example of this.
I would
It's
say some would call a chair furniture.
maybe they do want us to hate Man Man or Furniture Man, so potentially this was
Yeah,
their way of
true.
trying to convey to
But
the
then that also
audience,
makes us hate.
you don't want to shop at this store.
It's very unfortunate that these innocent kids are being forced by the
Yeah.
evil man to. It's like in a. It's like
Are you gonna explain?
it's like in a few a few ordinary men. Have you ever seen that movie?
No?
It's about how
What
like
happened?
it's about how like A few like, German people during the 40s are just like normal people who eventually, over time, are slowly converted into like people who are willing to commit genocide.
Oh gosh. Oh no. That's not
And it's
good.
like a psychological exploration of how normal people can basically be corrupted by like political systems into doing extremely heinous things. That's the equivalent
Yeah.
in this is what they did to that rat.
It's terrible, dude. The rat didn't do anything. He just
Oh,
wanted furniture.
oh man, you know,
Imagine you and your rat family.
sometimes I crack myself up.
Imagine you and your rat family. You just go out to go shopping, and then all of a sudden, why is there an Aryan like propaganda picture in this room, Wilson? What is this?
Oh man. I thought you were gonna say you're out shopping with your rat family and then all suddenly you're just killed.
I'm sorry, I'm distracted. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, and then I saw your Aryan propaganda you have in your house. In appreciation of your interest in wait, in appreciation for your interest in and services to the youth of our community, Boy Scouts of America.
What? I forgot that you're in
Also
my house
you.
right now. You're just in a different room. Anyway, I also thought this those lines were kind of weird because like she says the rat, she refers to it as the rat as though it is the
Uh-huh.
infamous notorious rat. And he says, "I thought we killed
Yeah.
the rat," and then she says, "We killed a rat." Like it's just kind of weird, you know.
Maybe she knew what. Maybe she like.
It's
Maybe it
awkward.
is the rat, and they killed a rat.
Quick comment on
But
how
then she
weird it
wouldn't say
is
the
that
rat did
like
it. I don't know.
the big successful Blumhouse movie this year is the super deep, artistic, scary horror movie that everybody's talking about, and A24 put out the really awkward kind of tropey gimmick movie. Like
Yeah.
that is it's kind of crazy that happened. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
But
therapist
next we
lady,
cut to
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
she's watching a commercial, I guess, for what looks like a relationship advice book, I think, or maybe just like a maybe not
It's her
relationship
book.
advice. Oh, it's her book. Okay.
No, it's her book. Yeah.
Oh, well, there's that. You see, this is why usually I watch a movie twice before I talk about it, but we just didn't have time, and I'm not watching that twice.
And no one, yeah,
I watched Mandalorian and
I
Grogu
don't think I
twice,
could
and
do
that
that.
movie was terrible. Meanwhile, Man
But
Man.
she's like, she's oh, good. Yeah, yeah.
Well, did you have something to say about her? Because all I
I was
got
just
is
gonna
that she
say like,
watched that thing.
what she's watching TV and the ad of her own book comes on, and it's supposed to like they're trying to get us to be like, oh my gosh, she has a book, but she's very unsuccessful. But there's nothing to like show us that she's unsuccessful. Like you, it's not like said explicitly, but the vibe I got was that they're trying to tell us that she's very unsuccessful. Nobody wants her book, but there's no like. It just shows us like she has a book, by the way, and then later we'll see Man listening to the book. But she like turns the TV off and she turns over and picks up a rock, and it's the rock from the demolition site. It's her handprint, her childhood handprint from her childhood home. Ah,
Um,
and then we pan to
Man Man.
Furniture Man.
Man Man is watching like a sci-fi movie. He's in the furniture store, and then we get like one of the most boring sequences maybe ever. He's watching it, and the TV turns off, and then all the lights turn on, and the music is just going crazy. And then all the lights
Yeah,
start flickering,
the music is hype.
and then the lights turn off. And there's like out of the like one of the shots you can see like the shadow of something moving around, but that never goes anywhere, so
Oh,
read into
really?
that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, I saw it. I was like, "Oh, there's like a spooky shadow." Anyway,
Uh,
that was so boring. It's like it's a really long scene. It's very long. And I remember looking at the lights flickering and being like, okay, so he watched Stranger Things. And not that like Stranger Things has a monopoly on flickering lights, but just the manner in which they are flickering, you know,
yeah,
it
it is the
definitely
same.
I was like, yeah, okay. We're doing that. All right.
Uh,
But it's just one of those
um,
sequences where it's like, all right, the lights they turned off. They came on, they flickered, they turned off, and the music was trying to convince me that something crazy happened, and Man is mostly unconcerned. He just goes back to bed.
Completely unconcerned. He's like, "Oh, damn it."
Because I don't
Uh,
know,
is
that
this
would
when?
bother me, that amount of flickering. I'd be like that's
Uh-huh.
not just like a wiring issue, right? There's probably a bigger issue
Yeah.
here, maybe. Not that I
Uh-huh.
would
That
assume
would be
like
like a I need to call an electrician now
yeah,
problem, not a
not that I would
that
assume like
darn
there's
power.
ghosts or that there's like a back room, but I would be like, geez, am I gonna get electrocuted? Like,
Yeah,
are my
like
bulbs all gonna
this
blow
is a
out and I'm gonna
problem.
get like
It's
sharp glass falling on me?
my power is
Fiberglass?
surging insanely.
Yeah, that would probably be
Uh,
like I need the 24-hour electrician to come down here right now and help.
yeah.
So then we get
Don't
another
we cut to like
therapist monologue part.
okay.
Don't
For
we?
some reason I thought there's a point at which he's driving around in his car. I thought that it cut to like him driving or something, but I don't remember.
Who
I don't remember
cares?
what it cuts to, but basically she does an analogy about the walls you put up in your mind to protect yourself, and you need to break down the walls to live your life and be unburdened by your past, free from your confines, free to choose your own path. And then I wrote yada yada yada, enough damn monologues in my
I
notes.
definitely wrote yada 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 at some point throughout my notes. It wasn't here though. Um,
Yeah, but this is literally them just telling us what the analogy of the backrooms is. It's the walls you put up in your mind, and you have to
yeah,
break them
they're just
down.
telling us. Thank you, movie. And then Man
Yeah.
is watching the commercial of the shell company that exists purely to take his business. And I like how like good the other commercial is and how angry he is.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the film cuts to just, you know, the back rooms and there's like a weird creature in there. And the problem with this and like
Oh wait, we
the problem
forgot a
with this is
scene.
that it's not
During the
scary.
monologue, during the monologue of the therapist lady, it cuts to her at a party and she like goes into her bathroom and grabs a pill out of a plastic bag
I
and
guess I
takes the
didn't write
pill
it
and
down
then
because I
puts the
felt it was
plastic bag back.
incredibly ephemeral and cheap moment.
Well, yes, but it's supposed to show us that she has a vice. She's a hypocrite.
Wow. The
But yeah, it cuts to
hypocrisy
the
of
back
this
rooms and
character.
the furniture man is just staring at the TV and he's like looking at this very strange, creepy footage that is it has randomly cut to and he's just like, damn it, the power and he's like hitting it
Yeah,
and then it fizzles out.
he's like that's he's way more annoyed and disturbed by the fact that the TV turns off than he was about it cutting
Yeah,
to that. When it cuts, he just kind of is like, "Oh,
yeah.
this is new." Like TVs don't often do that, especially not like TVs in the 90s that only had, you know, whatever feed like a VHS or a VCR.
Yeah.
So, it's just
Uh-huh.
he just is not concerned about this. And also, it's not scary. It's not scary at all. It's supposed to be like, ooh, it's creepy. But the problem is, we've already seen the back rooms. We already know what they are because we're on the internet.
Yeah.
It's like when
Hmm. So
it's
it's
it's like when Freddy Fazbear shows up on the silver screen. It's like it's not scary. I already know all this. Whereas when he shows up in like the original games in 2014, it's, you know, it's a new creepy thing that we don't understand yet.
terrifying. Yeah.
It's pretty scary.
Um, but he goes up to investigate why his TV's turning off. And he
Not why it
goes
cut to the back rooms.
downstairs. And he goes downstairs, and we see that there's a crack in the wall, and there's
Well,
light
first
shining
he goes to
through.
mess with the circuit breakers and the power goes off.
Yeah.
Wow.
Uh-huh.
And then he
And
sees the
then you
crack in
see
the
that
wall. The crack that leads to the crack rooms.
the crack will never come back, by the way. The crack is only in this scene, and I don't know why there's a crack of light. It
Maybe it's
it,
trying to
it does.
show him it's calling to him to go.
Yeah, that's what I assume.
So then he goes
But
and he falls into the boring rooms of back, the rooms of back.
the rooms of back.
Yeah, he goes in there, and
And he like phases through the wall. It's not like a
which is pretty
door. He
crazy.
phases through the wall.
That would like be an insane thing to happen to you.
Yeah.
Like that's just physically impossible, and you just phase through the wall, and there's just a
And
you
he's
know
like, oh.
it's the back rooms, and we almost don't need to even describe it because everybody knows what it is. But importantly,
But this back room
there's a giant
full of
pile of
furniture.
furniture. So I
Yeah,
think it's safe to say the back rooms is like a reflection of him in some way. No credit.
for
The
some
pirate
reason.
steering wheel on the wall. There's furniture.
Yeah. And that's on like the far away part of the back rooms. That's a different plane entirely almost. And there's still his stuff there, which is
It's like his
interesting, I guess.
the back rooms in this particular story is him. It's his mind for some reason. But also there's a
Yeah.
company that the company,
That
man.
they yeah, company's there as well. But
But
like why would it be his mind if they found it? I don't know.
I want to read
Don't
my
make any
notes
sense.
word for word right here. So he sees the pile of furniture, right? Here's the word for word part. He goes back out. He goes back in. And yep, he's in the back rooms. He sure is. All the furniture is uncanny, creepy furniture. He walks a bunch. There's a stop sign. Dead bird. Intercom voice. There's a person in the hallway. It's a cardboard cutout of a caveman. He made it a very short distance in a very long time frame. It's
Yeah, it takes him about like 15 minutes to get to as far as he gets in this moment, and then it takes him about 30 seconds of walking to get back to the exit.
I
So,
remember like he's in this crazy alternate dimension-y place and he sees the
uh-huh.
silhouette of a person in the hallway. Now if I'm him, I'm doing one of two different things here. All right. First of all, avoid detection and gather information, right? So I'm going to hide from it and then
Yeah.
try to like figure out what it is. Or second option is overwhelming violence, right? I'm gonna start screaming and charge at it. I'm serious though. Like realistically, in dealing with a situation like that, those are the two best things to do because
Yeah.
by going like hello and slowly walking towards it, you'll communicate to whatever you're dealing with that you are underconfident, you are scared, and it can basically have its way with you. Whereas if you just have
Yeah.
enough fucking chutzpah and just rage and testosterone and confidence delusion to just bum rush whatever it is, it's probably gonna freak out and to be like, get away from me and try to escape. But
Yeah.
or you can
But
just
nope,
hide.
it's a cardboard. I thought they were Jesus cutouts this whole time. So they're all in my notes as Jesus mannequins, but they are cavemen. I learned that at the end.
Yeah, they're cardboard cutouts of
But
cavemen, which is interesting.
you wouldn't believe this, but he walks into another room, and this room is like empty, but there's another crack, and you can see the light coming through of this like panel on the wall. So he goes up to it, and he rips off this part of the wall that's like glued on there for some reason. And there's a backpack in a crawl space. The crawl space leads to another room, but the backpack he opens it up, and it's got a little card in it, and it's this employee. It's like an employee badge, and it says async on it. Oh,
It's
a
probably
company.
the guy
I
from
wonder what
earlier,
that could
or
be.
maybe some other guy. Who knows?
Probably.
But he decides to
But
gamble
then
with
for
his
some
life,
reason,
and he drops down the little shaft. It's like, okay, let's talk about this. So, if I was him, right, and I phase through the wall into this like complex series of rooms, I reckon I'd probably walk around a bit. I'd probably be like, "What is this?" But there would definitely be, a point not too far in where I would leave. I would exfil. I'd get out of there. And it would probably be the moment I come around the corner and see the silhouette in the hallway. Like realistically, I
yeah.
if I don't decide to just just go full ape mode and attack, I'd probably run away. That's the other one, just sprint out of there and leave
Yeah,
and never ever go back. And I definitely wouldn't drop down a
yeah,
shaft that would be really hard to get back up through without knowing what's in that room because, it could be anything.
yeah.
There could be anything down there. I don't
But
know if there's
he
another way
gets
out.
into yeah. You won't believe this part, but he goes into another room
No,
through
I
that
will
little
believe it
crawl
because I
space
saw the
shaft.
movie.
And, and in this room, there's a hole, and the hole appears to be endless, and it's full of chairs. And then
It's the
we hear
endless
some
procession of
stomping.
furniture through his mind. That's what that represents. The
Yeah.
descent into the world of furniture
Uh,
that he is in.
but
Symbolism.
we hear some stomping. We hear some stomping around,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
and he's looking around. And he's like, I wonder what that could be.
So he goes
And then he
back to the
turns around. And he's looking
shaft
through the crawl space,
and he sees
and the
like
bag is sitting there.
something like massive disturbs the bag and like knocks a bunch of crap around. And it's
Uh-huh.
like, oh my god, I'm in another dimension and there's a giant creature that's like causing destruction right behind me and getting closer. And he just turns to his left, doesn't react at all, and just strolls away.
This
Whoa.
guy, I wish I was this calm under pressure. This guy, like,
You
he has
just,
got to
well,
be like a multi-war veteran.
so many wars.
He can handle pressure like it's crazy. And he like the entire movie he's like this until he becomes a psychopath.
A lot of times characters act like they know they're in a movie. He doesn't even act like that. This scene reminds me of like a
He,
Skyrim NPC when they think they find you and they're like, must have been the wind, and then they just walk away. Like it was so funny. I burst
like
out
the
laughing.
exclamation point above his head, and then
Yeah, yeah. Hey, wait, what
and
was
then he
that?
just walks away.
What was that?
Did you hear that? Oh, must have been the wind.
Must have been my imagination. Just walks off.
There's like a bomb going off behind them.
It's like a nuclear explosion. Yeah. Incoming danger.
Yeah, it's exactly like you're playing Zelda Breath of the Wild and you're hunting the bokoblins and you throw like a bomb at them and then they just like the question mark appears above their head and they start looking around and then they just go back to their normal animation. It's like,
He just goes back and he just
but
walks out and he just like basically there's a door here because he had no idea that there was any way out.
uh,
He could have been trapped here in a dead end room with like a monster, but he just walks out and then he this is so funny. It's like the filmmakers realized that he shouldn't be walking, so he starts like really slowly jogging and he jogs out of the back rooms and then he comes back in and grabs a stool off of the giant pile and then he leaves again with it.
and now, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're like an hour into the movie.
Not quite, not quite. I remember when we were in an hour.
Almost.
There's the part now like it's after the incident with the two best characters. That's when it's like an hour in. I think we're like 40
Yeah.
minutes in at this point. Which
Uh-huh.
you if you haven't seen this movie and you're watching this video, like that you probably were like, "Oh, that's like 15 minutes, of opening." Nah, dude.
No.
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 That was 40 minutes of
It's
that.
That was the first act. We are now in. Actually, we're already into the second act.
I don't
We're
know what
halfway through the
act
second
we're
act.
in. I,
Or not halfway through the second
all
act.
I know is
We're
that
at the
he does
beginning of the
not
second act.
act, at least not at that point in the movie.
He doesn't act. No. He'll act later, like a strange person.
Um, oh yeah. But before anything,
We
we get
cut.
a shot of government man, or should I say
Yeah.
company man, is watching Man adventure through the back rooms.
Yep.
And that
And
might have
he's
been the
like,
point where I
what?
completely lost my investment in the film. That might have been it. I reckon that was it. Yeah.
My favorite part of the movie, the most enjoyable part, was looking over at you periodically You like looked like you were gonna cry the whole time. Like you're so angry.
I was not really
It's
having a good time, man.
unbearable.
Thank
But
God I had
he
Coors
like
Light.
walks into therapy. He walks into his therapy after this and he's like panting. He's like, "Sorry, I'm late. There was traffic." And she's like, "Oh, we'll make do with the time we have." And he's like, "Have you ever 5150'd someone?" Which that's when the therapist reports a person for being a danger or insane. Something they should have done in obsession, but don't do. Um, and she's like, "Oh, I've done it before when someone's crazy or a danger." And he's like, "I found a place." And his exact words are, "Where the store continues." I think they're using mirrors or something.
Yeah, yeah. What are you talking about, dude? They're using mirrors? Yeah, right, dude.
He phased through a wall.
How would mirrors explain any of that? I guess what would you assume,
Yeah,
right? What would you assume in that
yeah.
situation?
I would assume that I phased through a wall. And she's like, I don't. She like doesn't say explicitly, "I don't believe you," but we get the vibes of "I don't believe you," and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'll explain it to you." And then he runs off, or I'll get proof.
Well, first
And
first he describes that he thinks there's like an underground complex under the city and it's all subterranean. It's
uh-huh.
like, dude, you walked through a wall. You walked through a wall. That is just an
Oh
underground
yeah, he says
complex.
it's as if you described a dog to someone who's never seen one, and then they try and draw it. And then he
Sure.
slams on the table a map. He's mapped a large amount
Which
of this
probably
place off.
means he's been in there a good amount of times, enough times to
Yeah.
definitely know that it isn't mirrors. But,
Well, he
you know,
says in a second, he says like later, he says, I've been in here every night since I found it."
once
We don't
again, I
know how
guess
long that could be.
the this is an underground complex explanation like completely fails to explain what like you would have experienced in there, but also
Yeah.
like what are you supposed to assume in that situation? Like the more I think about it, I'm like, yeah, that's actually probably what I would think, but I'd be pretty mystified.
Yeah, but this is our first example of a like arc happening completely off screen is that he has spent like however long, we have no idea, going in here every single day, exploring and mapping the place out. And we don't get to see any of it. We just get the map.
Thank God we
Map
don't
of the
get to
back
see
rooms
any
that
of
he
it,
made.
dude. Thank God.
It could have been very easy to do this. You just have like literally a montage of him in the back rooms, cutting from room to room as he's got like this pen and paper and he's drawing it. But no, instead we get "I'm sorry I'm late. Look at this map I made.
Yeah,
You don't
if
believe
they
me?
like
I'll go get proof."
shortened down the prior scene drastically, then they could have done that and would have added some like dynamicism to maybe he's not
Yeah.
just walking around
Uh-huh.
aimlessly. And oh god, I'm really upset with the people who are like, "What? You're mad that there was walking around in the back rooms for a long time in the back rooms? That's what the back rooms has always been about." And to that I say, yeah, I guess I am.
Correct.
I
I
guess
am
I am
mad
mad
that
about
the
that.
only thing that happens in the back rooms is them walking
It's like
through back rooms.
you are principally when you are making a movie, you are making a movie. You need to prove that there is a good reason why you are using that medium to tell your story. Maybe the backrooms is simply just not something that is compatible with a movie in its current conception. Maybe it is, but not here because this movie is just a 2 hour port of what a backrooms short or a backrooms short video on Kane Pixel's channel would be.
If it was extended to 2 hours of the
That
30-second clip.
yeah, that's what I just said.
And yeah, it's like you can even if you do say like this format just isn't compatible with movie, that's just not true because like or at least it's not true for a longer form of content because left right game is the same thing and it's so good. It's incredible.
Well, I'm saying like the idea of you have somebody by themselves just walking around in the backrooms, not like with anyone to talk to.
Yeah,
or any
that's true. I
dialogue,
guess.
that might just be like something you shouldn't attempt in a 2 hour
Yeah.
movie
I guess if
because
I was making the
uh,
movie about this silly thing, you would have multiple storylines of people in different areas who aren't connected, who all have their own like problems and stuff,
yeah, or
all find
I'd
entrances
have
to the back
multiple
rooms.
people like maybe go in together, you know? As much as that could
Yeah, or
easily
that.
become cheesy, it doesn't have to.
Yeah, it could be very good. And it's like you could have the cool thing of everybody is in the back rooms, for a different reason. They all have these separate arcs and like reasonings for wanting something different, wanting an adventure, and then they're slowly meeting, like finding other people in the back rooms and learning how like closely connected they actually were this whole time
And then
and growing
you
close
could have the
together. And then
backrooms like reflecting all of their different internal like struggles because that's what it's meant to
yeah,
represent. You could have it take
uh-huh.
different forms for everybody. You could oh, this is really cool. You could have a scene where like they are all looking at the same thing, but they're all seeing something different that represents something core to them.
Yeah,
Or
that
like
would be really cool.
there's a single monster that's kind of chasing all of them and they're all hiding and trying to escape from it, but like when one character looks at it, it looks like one thing that
Yeah,
is
they're all
especially
seeing
frightening to
something
them.
completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that's a big clue for the audience to be like, "Oh, wait, it's like reflecting their trauma and their
Yeah.
and then you don't have to have therapy lady like just say that."
Mhm. It's like you could have one character like Clark who's kind of running from himself because he constantly thinks he needs to change, and so he's running from his evil tendencies. And then you have someone who maybe has an abusive relationship with her family, and she's running from this distorted version of her father who she hasn't seen in years, and then you have someone
Yeah.
who's been a timid person
You
his
have someone
entire
who's
life,
really scared of
and
clowns
he's
and there's
running
just a
from the
clown.
unknown. Yeah, you can get silly with it too. It doesn't always have to be deep.
I would be tempted to avoid that because I would, but like you could do it. You could go that way with it.
Well, I think what I would do if I was making it, I would have the opening scene be that like clown, like someone's running from a giant distorted clown and he gets killed, and it's like, oh no, the clown is the Backrooms villain, and then you slowly find out that everybody's running from something different in the Backrooms because the Backrooms is about, the cyclical natures and escaping the the basically the habits that your mind forces you into.
I probably
But no,
wouldn't
this
do
is
the cold
this
open
is not
thing.
about that.
I would
I
be
mean, I
tempted to just
wouldn't, but
avoid the cold opens altogether.
if I was told I had to do one, I'd probably choose to do
You
something
have
like
to.
that.
The only
It like
requirement is
breaks
that you have to do this.
it breaks immersion a little bit. It would be very funny, but it would also kind of be a what's the word? It
Good
would be like a
setup.
red herring almost,
Oh,
a
a
good
red herring,
setup.
yeah. Anyway, let's get back to the movie, unfortunately. So he goes and he recruits his employees, Kat and Bobby, to go into the back room to like document. Which
Which
I have
if he wanted to
questions.
prove it to her, why didn't he just say, "Just come to my store and I'll show you"?
Or, you know, easier
But
one, he could have just grabbed the camera himself and gone in and been like, all right, I'm recording a bunch of stuff, and then not like go too deep, and then just
yeah,
come back out because the whole goal of this operation is to prove it to her. I don't think
yeah, it's
he's not like
it's not a claim.
he's not like trying to scientifically explore it yet. I mean, you could have made this movie way more interesting by having more varied scenes where he's going into the back rooms for different purposes. And then
Uh-huh.
eventually you get to this point where he's like, I'm going to go further than I've ever gone before, and I'm going to get these people to go with me. And that's when you get this. But he has a rope, and he tells them that they're doing research. And uh, the Bobby is like, "What's the rope for?" And he says, "Supplies." And then he has like taped off the place where the backrooms entrance is. He goes through. Obviously, the two kids are freaked out, but they follow him one by one. And now they're
Yeah.
in the backrooms. And
And they
Man
walk
Man,
around while they're recording.
yeah. Also, Bobby is apparently high on drugs, so
Yeah,
there's
he's
that.
on pot.
He's on pot. All right, bro. Bobby is fried out of his mind, which is why I guess he's so brave. But you know, trust me, works the opposite way. All right, it makes you way more
Uh,
scared and anxious. If anything, Bobby would be way more dubious about this than normally he would. But
Uh,
they walk around, and they record for a long time, and then they find a horrifying hole of death and doom that you should never go down. And Bobby is like, oh, I'm gonna go down it. So they tie a rope to him, and he goes, "If I don't come back, tell my mother I love her."
and then that's the moment in the movie where you know, oh, he's not coming back. Wonderful.
Oh, I
That's
knew
true.
he wasn't coming back the moment that he entered the back rooms. I was like, "There's no way either of them survive this. They're gonna die."
But he goes down the hole. They tie a rope around him and they lower him down the hole. And the rule is, if there's trouble, tug on it, even though they can yell at each other. So that doesn't really make sense.
I guess you might want a
But
way to alert them without making noise in case you need to be
yeah,
quiet.
that's true. That's true.
Noise discipline, dude. We were talking about that.
True.
He goes down there, and the place he's in, I wrote down it's the back rooms, but ghetto, because it's just the back rooms, but like dirtier, and
It's darker and dirtier.
there's clothes everywhere, which I don't know what that represents. Maybe like when
Well, all the clothes are covered in blood. And he like picks up a
are
t-shirt
you
and it
sure?
says async on it. Yeah,
Oh,
all
these
the
are
the
all the
clothes are
clothes of
covered
the
in blood.
guys who've died in here. Okay.
Yeah.
But there's something down there with them, and he freaks out and runs up the rope, and they pull him up, and then he's like, "There's someone down there," and there's this kind of awkward moment where it pulls him back down, and they are unable to
Well,
stop this from happening.
the thing is, the thing is like they pull him up, right? And so one end of this rope is tied around him and the other part of the rope is tied to the chair. But
You mean the
somehow,
bed? It's a bed,
yeah,
right?
the bed. It's a bed, you're right. And somehow in the scrambling, his there's also a rope that goes all the way down the hole that's
Yeah, that is.
that's
I guess.
connected to him as
I
well.
guess we're meant to
It
believe that somehow like the slack got left behind.
There's not enough slack to do that though, that was confusing. And
Maybe
like
there
even if there
is.
was, how did it get down there? Because they
Well,
pulled him tight. They would
okay.
have to
I'm
have
I'm
pulled him
trying my
up and then
best.
thrown it back
He
down
also
there.
climbed up the rope, so some of it maybe would have been left down there to be grabbed onto. Maybe
But the manster, oh, that's a kind of good name. I'm gonna start calling him
the
the manster.
manster.
The manster grabs the rope and pulls him down, and it's like, oh well, we hear some
it's
screaming.
it's unusual that like they're unable to stop this from happening.
Yeah,
Like
considering how weak
how
we
did
find out
you
the monster is later.
like how did you like yeah, exactly. How did you lose to him? There's two of you. One of you is a grown man, and the person you're pulling on would also be helping in some way.
Yeah,
And
but
the monster he isn't exactly super tough. He gets beat up later by therapy lady who is,
yeah,
as far as I know, I didn't know she was like a
maybe she's
commando.
like, yeah, maybe she's like super strong. But he
The
gets pulled
it's
down, and they're
because
like,
it's
"Oh
because
no,
women
he's
are powerful.
gone." Girls get it done.
Girls get it done.
But he's like screaming and getting murdered, and they're like, "Oh no!" And they just stare down the hole, and then the bed starts flying because the
The
rope's
rope
attached to the bed,
and
and
the
the bed hits them and knocks both of them down the hole. Now
it's
they're
like, well,
down
that's
there.
that's unfortunate.
Yeah. This is what I have written in my notes. It's over. The monster pulls him down, and they just sit there and get knocked down there. And the monster munches. He gets Cat and is coming for Furniture Man, but he does hiding and makes it to the back rooms. He finds a different vibe of back rooms, but more bodies and clothes, and keeps running. He finds bodies. And then we make it to Spooky Christmas Room. But the Spooky Christmas Room music
Oh,
stops playing. And then it starts again and there's a jump scare where there's bodies in the floor. And then there's a little man in a wheelchair, and a zombie wanders out and runs toward him. And he runs more and escapes to a
that's
bathroom.
that's the second moment in the movie where I cracked up because he's
Yeah,
standing there
there's just
and
like,
the little
and
guy in
then
the
just,
wheelchair like turns on the light and just like a just a zombie just runs out and it's like and like he runs towards him.
And then
I was like,
and then
what is happening? What's going on
he
here?
runs more and he escapes to a bathroom where he slips in the shower
It's not
and
even
he
a
finds a
bathroom, it's
pool.
a pool, right? It's like a pool room.
Yeah. And then he finds well at this point I was like, is this the pool he was talking about? Maybe he knows where he is. But no, because what's her girl starts talking through the walls. She somehow survived the monster question mark and dies later.
I
But she's
thought it was a
talking through the
monster
walls.
imitating her, mimicking her to
That's what
like
I thought it was
lure him,
too.
but
But
I don't know if the film wants you to
then
think
he
that
ends yeah, I don't know.
because there's like a sequence where what he can see is like a wall, and then on her side it's glass, and she can't get through, and she wants to get through, and he puts down the
Yeah.
camera, uh, but something very tall picks up the camera,
Picks it up.
and then it like statics out.
And then she yells like behind you and then it goes away. And we cut to a child in a messy home and it's like it's crazy looking. There's chairs piled up in front of the door and there's like newspaper covering the window. And the little girl goes up to the window and she opens it to look out into the real world. But then her mom comes in and her mom's like, don't ever go outside. You know, I told you you can't go outside. There's nothing good out there.
Don't go
It's all
outside.
bad. And then the door there's a knock at the door and the door explodes and then therapist lady wakes up.
You know, during that scene, I was actually kind of thinking like, I want to watch this movie. Like this seems way more interesting. Like the like being trapped in a house like that with like a crazy parent
Uh-huh.
as a child when you're super vulnerable. Like
Yeah.
that's scary. That's really scary. The zombie Christmas tree man is not scary. I would obliterate that zombie. By the way, like I'm
Oh
so
yeah.
confident.
Especially from what we learn later about the zombie.
Like the backrooms
Boom.
is the least scary place ever because it's super easy to just leave,
Yeah.
and nothing from
You
in it can
only
affect
you're
you.
only vulnerable to the back rooms if you decide to die. That's the only
If you
time
decide
in
to go
which
in there and just gamble with your life by jumping down random holes, yeah, you're probably gonna die. You know? Um,
But we cut to therapist lady again and she's in her room and then the phone rings and it
Hang on, I
clicks
actually
and
want to
she gets a
circle back real
voicemail.
quick. Part of the kind of
Okay.
horror of the backrooms originally in the internet forum is that like you don't go there by choice. You will essentially just be minding your own business and you'll just fall through the floor or something and just end up in the backrooms with no like no prompting, which is that's kind of
Yeah.
frightening, you know, because it could just happen at any point and it
Uh-huh.
doesn't matter. In this movie, I have absolutely no sympathy for any of these characters because they all chose to go in there. So as far as I'm concerned, they deserve to die.
Yeah.
Like like this is just
But she
natural
gets a
selection at this
voicemail
point. Like
and it's this movie's actually about natural selection. They do say it's up to the audience interpretation because there's no message, even though there's
I guess
absolutely a
that's true.
message. It's just a
Yeah,
really bad message.
this is about natural selection. I've cracked the case.
Yeah. But she gets a voicemail from Furniture Man and he says, I opened the window. I'm not coming back. Click.
Cool.
And I thought, oh my gosh, the manster can use like manipulation to convince people that it's other people and like make noises that sound like people when it's not actually them. But we'll learn that no,
It is just him.
no,
You know,
that's
it's
not the
evil
case.
him.
It is just him.
Uh,
Yeah.
well, she goes to the furniture shop at this point, and then
And then we
for
cut
the
to
next
we
scene,
we cut to this
I want to tell you my notes for this scene. This next scene, scene 12.
uh-huh.
Something happens. That's it. Because I have
I
no
remember
idea.
because you were very confused.
I had no clue what was
So
going on. I was
we
like, what? Who
we
are these
cut
people?
to like a framed we cut to a framed newspaper article about Async, the company that we've learned about. And it turns out and there's a man making breakfast. And
Oh,
then
is
it
he Company
pans
Phil?
over, and he's Company Phil.
Oh,
And it pans
oh,
over,
this makes more
and
sense
we
now.
see his family sitting down watching television in the morning, and he goes with breakfast to sit down with his family. And then the Captain Clark's uh, commercial happens, and he's sitting there, and he's just like mouth on the floor, staring at the TV, and all you can see in his like it looks like he is doom and despair. This man,
I sort of
staring at the television,
I like
horrified
the
by Captain
interpretation that
Clark's Ottoman Empire.
he's like, how did this ad go live? We were supposed to be suppressing these. Our other furniture business is threatened
God
now. What
damn
are
it!
we gonna do?
Cowboy
Uh,
furniture is vulnerable. But then we cut
but turns out
away, and
he's
therapist
probably
lady
reacting
is
like
at
that.
the store.
Hey! That scene's not done yet. He's probably reacting like he's probably reacting like that because they saw Man walking around the back rooms and they saw what happened to him, and they were probably also like
Uh-huh.
surveilling him, and they're like, "Oh my god, how'd that ad go live?" You know, it's pretty frightening
Yeah.
stuff, if I do say so myself. Pretty frightening.
Spooky.
I was pretty much shaken.
Oh, I'm so terrified.
I was
I was quaking in my boots, bro.
I would call myself disturbed deeply in that moment. Anyway, what's the next part? Oh yeah, she's
Furniture
at the
lady
furniture
or
store,
therapist lady is at the furniture store, and she goes downstairs and she sees all the crazy stuff happening.
and then a
And
fly goes into the
she's
back
like, "Oh my
rooms.
gosh." Yeah, a fly goes in,
I don't know how
and
she even saw
we're
that.
left to wonder
Like, how did she see that? The room is very dim. Flies are
because
very
the camera
small.
panned to it.
The camera
How
is
did
like
you not see it?
zoomed
The
in really
camera literally
close.
panned to it,
Yeah.
dude.
Okay, well the
Yeah, she
camera's
was
not
watching.
her
She's
eyes.
watching the camera.
Oh, right. Of
uh,
course.
but she, for some reason, decides to go into the back rooms, and it's different this time. There's no furniture, and there's no tape on the
She
wall.
puts her hand
So
through the wall, and then from behind her there's like a weird noise, and that encourages her to go into the back rooms. So I guess the creature's able to make sounds in the real world and do stuff to mess with you. What do you think that
yeah,
represents, like
well,
psychologically? What do you think that is the metaphor for?
if you would think about what they're actually telling us, the metaphor would be you don't actually get to control the cycles you go through. You're manipulated into them by outside events, and then they happen to you. But don't worry because the company will save you. That's her arc. The symbolism of her arc. But I'll read
You know
you
when
my
people are like
notes.
when people give you the advice that like nobody's coming to rescue you and you need to learn how to take care of yourself in life. Somebody's coming to rescue you. That's what this movie's concluding.
But
But
I'll
yes,
read
you're
you
right.
my notes for this sequence. She sees his maps and his tape on the wall. Fly goes into portal. It's over for him. She freaks out and realizes the portal is
Wait for
real.
the
As
fly.
music in Yeah.
That poor
She
fly,
freaks
dude.
out and realizes the portal is real as music intensifies and walls around creak. As nothing happens, the soundtrack hypes the place up, but nothing is happening. Oh, the furniture is gone. Bum bum
Oh yeah, that was the
bum.
part where I
Oh
was
wait,
like,
the furniture.
remember I like leaned over to
Yeah,
you and I was like, oh, there
we.
might be something interesting. Like maybe the Backrooms takes on like the psychology of
The form
whoever
of the
is in it,
yeah.
you know. And like there's no furniture because
Uh huh.
obviously she's not a furniture person, and probably pretty soon we're gonna see what will be there for
Yeah.
her. And then she goes around the corner and there's just a
And then my
giant
notes
pile of
say,
furniture.
"Oh wait, the furniture is moved to another room." So spooky. She sees
So
another furniture room, while a bunch of nonsense is. It sounds like
I
Furniture
was
Man
I was
talking
just
a
sitting there
lot.
like,
You
oh,
see
my
a
interesting
strange.
theory is probably correct about this movie. Oh, never mind. Something way
Never
more
mind.
boring is happening. All right.
But she turns the corner again and she sees a mural. And the mural is a large black being sitting in a rocking chair, throwing a small being into the air while it has like exclamation points on its head, like it's freaking out. Here, I
and,
took a picture of
and the
this
big
mural.
the
I'll
big being
describe all of
is a
it.
pirate. It's like a pirate being.
Yeah,
And I
it's
did
got a
see that, and
pirate
I
hat on.
remembered like that he did the pirate thing, and I was like, oh, it's gonna be like an evil reflection of him then. Like
But it,
that's what I
a
immediately
strange part
concluded.
about this is
I was right.
the chair is drawn like a tree. It has roots going into other rooms, and his foot also has roots going into other rooms. And above him is a window. And then on one side, there's drawings of houses descending as they're numbered. And then there's the inside of a house. And then there's a yellow being. And there's a yellow being on the other side with stars. And there's words written around like the floor pan change. And it says, tables don't bleed, bleed. Or they say it says tables don't bleed blood, and it has an arrow pointing to like a person frozen in the floor. Yeah.
It's
So
just
that's
stuff.
what's it's just a bunch of nonsense. It's just stuff.
Do you think that like
Um I
the
think they're
people who are
trying
in the floor are supposed to represent the like the frozen memory people that he will eat later?
I thought that they were supposed to be the people that got stuck in their own cycles.
Maybe. Maybe they're the dead bodies. Yeah, like yeah,
I don't
who knows? Um
know.
so Man like finds her and he's around the corner and he's like, "You found it."
Yeah.
And then he tells her to be quiet and calm down and she says, "Where are we?" And he says, "It's every place that ever was." Which is all right. Definitely not
Yep.
that, but okay. So then we hear the noises of something approaching, and Man is like, "Calm down. It's only me. You know me." And then he takes her back and locks in a perfect standing rear naked choke. Like it's quality
It
choke. He like puts his hand on the back of her head
is
and
a good
pushes
one.
her head forward, gets his arm under the chin. Like he's
Hmm.
doing it. He's doing it completely right, and he chokes her out. And then we
Yeah.
go to probably the best scene. Yeah, I think it
Nothing
is.
even happens in it. It's a scene of she's in what looks like a hospital. A small child
Oh,
is.
I'm not
There's a
talking about
small
the
child in an
flashback. I'm
empty
talking about
hospital
the.
waiting room.
I'm talking
Oh.
about the like
Oh. Well,
the big dialogue
I would say
that's
it's the
about to
best scene because
start.
it's the only scene where anything
Yeah,
happens.
it's like the
But
best scene by
it cuts
default.
to it cuts to a flashback of a small child in an empty hospital room, and then the camera pans over, and it's her mom in like a straitjacket in a wheelchair, and the nurses of the asylum are wheeling her away because her mom's crazy. And then, wait, uh, and then we get this weird shot where the camera like starts descending through the floor, and we get a backrooms version of the hospital, and then it keeps descending through floors and it gets more distorted and strange. And then the strangest one is an empty yellow room.
And
And
then Man
then there's a
says her
monologue.
monologue,
No,
right?
there's a monologue. There's a monologue about behavior and thoughts, and
That's what
it's
I
the
just
same
said.
monologue as the start, but Clark is doing it.
That's what
Oh,
I
I'm
just said.
sorry.
And then you
I'm sorry.
I was like, okay, now Man is reciting the therapist monologue, and you were like, no, there's a monologue.
I'm
I
sorry.
thought you were
I'm
making a
sorry. I
reference
didn't
to
read the
something that I
next
didn't know.
thing.
But
No,
yeah,
I'm dumb.
he recites her monologue, and he's bitching about being alone, and she starts trying to do therapy. Yeah, like it's just so boring. He's like, eventually he says it's a mess, yes, but beautiful in a way. It's like cool. He talks about how the
Yeah.
Backrooms remembers people, and the more times it remembers something, the less it does. So like the nature of the Backrooms themselves are that they are like erroneous recollections of real things. It's kind of an analogy. And you could maybe conclude that the reason why it is no, actually you can't conclude that. Never mind. I was gonna say you
What were
could.
you gonna say that you might conclude?
I was gonna say it might like be this yellow kind of industrial office space thing because that is the weird reflection of the furniture store, and that it would take that on because it's the Backrooms is very it's very concerned with him, man. But then I remembered that there's
Uh-huh.
other parts of the Backrooms that aren't like that at all. So
But Furniture Man has been collecting the flumps. And the flumps are all of these weird beings that we've seen, like the guy in the wheelchair we talked about and the zombie. And there's one other one, it's a fat guy with funny eyes. And I will only refer to these as the flumps because I don't care what they're really called. They're the distorted versions of people in the back rooms. And he's like, this is where we miss all of Furniture Man's arc, and he has decided to become insane off screen.
oh
So
yeah,
he's
there's a
insane now.
massive
And he's talking,
massive amount of character development he goes through that we don't get to see, unfortunately. Which can be a
yeah.
cool it can
And
be a
he
cool
talks,
tool to use for the audience to like cut away from a character, cut back to them, they're completely different in a way to like try and show the the profound effect that whatever thing might have had on them. Loads of media has done this, but it's usually in a movie where other interesting things are happening.
yeah.
Like when I
Also,
see
he's
this
only been
movie,
in here for 12
I'm
hours.
like, you can't spare us. You can't spare us this. We have to see it because you have nothing else. So show it to
But
us.
does another monologue talking about these people, and he's like, they're blank slates, and it's beautiful in a way. And then he's like, he compares them to furniture, and then he says, the best part is you can eat them. Uh, yep, you
And he
can eat
does.
them. They're full of cotton candy.
And he attempts to get her to
They're
eat
full
them
of
as
edible
well.
gloop,
Oh
and
yeah,
she
you
does
forgot
not.
about when he
And then
stabs the guy on the neck.
oh yeah,
And he's like, "Look,
he's
they
like,
can't feel
they
anything.
can't feel pain,
It must be nice."
and he stabs one.
He says, "Can you imagine how good that must feel? There's no thought, no pain, no ego, no fear. They simply exist like furniture. Look, the best part, you can eat them." And then he makes a delicious little snack.
And then he goes to the fridge to get another delicious snack, but inside the fridge is the head of Girl. Girl's head is in there. Oh no,
Oh
it's Girl's
man,
head.
why'd he do that? That's
Um,
so messed
and
up.
he's like,
I'm
well,
not sure why he did that.
yeah. He says like she wouldn't listen, so he murdered her, or he let the manster eat her.
All right.
And then she's like, it's okay. You can just let me go. And he's like, if I let you go, you'd just run all around like a chicken with its head caught off and end up right back here. And oh my gosh, it's just like her book. It's a
The
payoff. It's a
looping,
payoff
you know,
because her
she
book says that you
looping,
will loop.
looping.
Looping. It's crazy to me that people say there's no interpretation to this movie and that it's a blank slate. There is very clearly a metaphor. It's just a very bad
Yeah,
metaphor.
they're like,
Um,
you guys just don't like that there's clear answers. Or you
or
guys
that
just
there's
don't like
not
that
clear
there's no
answers.
clear answers. You're like, what? There's
Like there is
obviously
a
there's
clear
a
answer.
very obvious clear answer that they're trying to communicate here. It doesn't take like
uh,
a film major to figure this one out.
and she says, "I'll do anything. What do I need to do?" And he says, "Tell me that I didn't do anything wrong." And she says, "You didn't do anything wrong." And he goes, "Uh, not like that. Let's do some role play." And then he's like, he takes the knife out of the scalp and he says, "Something doesn't feel about right." And then he goes over to his wife Floomp and he scalps her. And he puts her scalp of hair onto Therapy
Yeah,
Lady
I forgot
and
about
says,
wife Floomp.
"There."
We should have maybe mentioned that. There's another Floomp
Oh
standing in the
yeah, his
corner,
wife is
and it's a
Floomp
lady,
there.
and then we find out that it's his wife later. We realize
Yeah.
probably in that moment when he scalps it and puts the hair on her head, because that would just that was
Yeah.
like, oh, he's trying to. Yeah, okay, I understand now.
And then he's like, "Get the lights." And his wife Floomp doesn't get the lights, so he walks over and turns the lights off. And then the wheelchair man turns his lamp on. Then they start role playing, and he's like, "Oh, I'm the only one who works around
Yeah,
here.
they just do
Someone needs to
basically the
pay for
same.
your
It's
ass."
basically just the
Oh
same thing.
no!
I
Yeah.
like when she refuses to get the lights. He just turns into Thanos and he goes, "Fine, I'll do it myself." He gets up to go. It's like you didn't have to have the line be exactly the same line that Thanos says in like the super viral trailer for Infinity War. But you know what they did, and anybody who's seen that immediately
Yep.
recognized it.
Yeah. But yep. So they do the monologue, and then eventually she goes, "No, I can't help you. The only person who can help you is yourself.
Don't break
You want to know the
character.
real reason?" Yeah, and then she's like, "You want to know the real reason your wife divorced you? Because you're constantly whining and complaining, and you can't take responsibility. It's your job, or it's or it's your brain, or it's the way you're wired. Yada, yada, yada."
I also wrote down yada 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 in this scene, but
Uh,
I think he's actually doing a good job, like performance wise here. Like he has a couple lines where like he's very emotional, and he's like he
uh-huh.
doesn't want to change because he likes it in the back rooms, and she's like, "You can
Yeah.
stay, like you can stay. You don't have to change, but let me go." And that convinces him.
Uh-huh.
He goes to he starts cutting her bonds off.
And he like starts crying. He's so happy, and he starts cutting her free, and then wife Floomp runs into the corner and starts like like running, walking into the wall like again like an NPC.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy,
um,
I guess, but it's not though. Unfortunately, your creepy
yeah.
moments that would be effective aren't because they're part of a film that has already like I've already just completely turned against it because of what has happened for the last hour and 15 minutes, which is nothing.
Actually, we're an hour and 25 minutes in right now. There's 20
Wow.
minutes left of the movie, and this is what
Wow.
has happened.
But then
Um, and
the manster comes in and he's like, "What are you
it's
doing
a
in here?"
pirate. It's a pirate. It's him in his pirate costume, guys. Because he's the monster all along. It's the monster. It's the
He's
monster, and
being
it's him.
consumed by
Oh my
himself, dude.
gosh.
He's being consumed by himself.
Oh my gosh. He's being
But
consumed by
it
himself.
walks
And then
up to him and he's like, "Oh, that's our therapist. She was just leaving. Don't worry about her. She says we don't have to change." And then Manster picks him up and eats him. And therapy lady runs away. And she runs into like a it's like a suburban neighborhood, but in the back rooms.
yeah.
And she can't get through the doors. And Pirate Man, Manster, whatever, comes out. She just runs away from it for a long time through a bunch of different rooms. And eventually she like
Yeah.
hurts herself, injures
Very
her knee or
slowly too.
something. Yeah, she gets hurt. And then we
She
get
does?
to yeah, yeah. She like fall her leg falls between two couches at one point and she's like, "Ah." And then for the rest of it she's
Oh, I
limping.
thought that she just tripped.
No,
Oh, I
remember
just
she's
thought she
limping.
just
That's why
started
she's
limping
so
for some
slow is
reason.
cuz she's limping.
Oh, huh.
But
Huh.
we get to
But
the big pit.
she escapes through a yeah, there's a pit, and she she I've never seen someone move slower in a horror movie.
I
This is
forgot
the slow like
forgot how like stupid my notes are here. Like she goes up the staircase and just keeps on climbing, and eventually she gets to this room where she grabs a coat, like a coat stand to fight him with. And
oh no, you're dude, you've skipped so much.
yep, and I'm
So
going to
she
skip it. We're
breaks
skipping it.
out.
We're skipping it.
No,
Who
no,
cares? Who
because
cares
there's
about any of
symbolism.
this? She
She breaks out
escapes.
and
It's
she's
great.
in the furniture store, but there's yellow walls on the other side of the doors because it's the furniture store in the back rooms. It's the Floop store. And so she decides she's gonna fight the monster, and she gets a coat rack to fight the monster
Oh,
with.
so I didn't skip anything then.
Shut up.
This is exactly what I like. What you just said the exact same thing I said. What?
You
What?
didn't say it was the furniture. You said she's in a room with furniture and she grabs a coat rack. It's the
Yep.
furniture store.
Who fucking cares, dude? What difference does it make that it's the furniture store? It makes no difference at all. But
uh, and the thing yeah,
she
go
grabs the
ahead.
coat thing, and because I was referring to the pirate guy as evil man because that's just what he is. When she breaks his peg leg, I wrote down breaks his leg. And then somehow throughout the fight it activates a bunch of like tanks of gas that are in the room. And the
She trips over a Jesus statue and
you mean it
the
was it one of the
sleeping gas
cavemen?
goes off.
Oh, it's sleeping gas, that's what
Yeah,
it
but
is.
it's a Jesus mannequin.
And it all starts
And
like
she fall
going.
yeah.
When does she smash his
And
head
she
with the
like
rock? That happens at some point.
she like falls and she's falling asleep and then he like apparently the gas doesn't work on him and he crawls on top of her and he like goes to take a bite and she palms his head and she takes her rock of her hand that she's had this whole time. Oh my gosh, it's the last symbol of her past. And she uses the last symbol of her past to smash the pirate man, the
Dude,
manster.
she's
And she just
beating up
it
the
gets
evil reflection
destroyed.
of her therapy patient with her past. Now that's what I call symbolism. What does that even mean?
Uh
What am I meant to do with that?
and so she like smacks his head and then she hobbles through this corridor and then falls over and there's company. There's company there and they start shooting her with the sleeping gas and they're like, "Who's this? What's going
I
on?"
was
And then
really
they rescue
unhappy.
her.
I was really unhappy when she went through the wall and then there were like a bunch of dudes in big suits. They look the same as like the guys in all the different Backrooms video games and all the like videos and stuff. And they're
Uh
here
yep.
and I was just, oh, this is how we're going to end the movie? We're going to end the movie about
Yep.
escaping from the cyclical nature of being trapped in your own head and trapped in your negative patterns of living. We're going to end that story by having a bunch of dudes in science suits show up.
And save her.
Go away.
Um
Just go away.
yep. Uh
Um
yep. And then in my notes, I just write like I titled this section exposition time. And
oh
then we
yeah.
get a montage of her getting X-rays, and yep, she's a person.
They do
And then we
x-ray her.
pass some some dead bodies, and
Oh,
then we
so
see that
the
the
we see
science
the
people have
pirate.
many.
We see the
Oh
manster.
yeah.
They have him. He's on a government
Oh, they have
table.
the Manster.
Yeah.
I thought that was the Man, not the Manster.
But it had the pirate outfit on, so unless
Oh,
Man
maybe.
somehow
Uh,
entered a pirate outfit.
but she, yeah, they have a bunch of cardboard Jesuses because they're using them as bait. And then now she's in a room waiting to be questioned. You should just read your notes word for word because they're very funny.
They're
Mine are not as funny
they're
as
only
yours.
funny if you start from the beginning because we have to establish the bit. All right. Government people in funky suits are here and they have gas. They remove her into a big old government facility. There's a ring of big old government people and scientists all looking at her. They do government scans of her. Turns out she's a human. Government doctors take her to a government science hospital where she sees evil Man is on a government table. She's in an orange and white government room and you can hear government footsteps. The door opens to reveal a government man. He asks her questions for the government. He asks her how she got in there and she walked through a wall. Government man asks her to confirm location of store. She says yeah. She was looking for someone. She asks where she is and what his name is. His name is Government Phil. Turns out it isn't government, it's company. They used to make MRI machines before they found the Backrooms, and now they are the Backrooms Company. Company Phil maps and explores. He exposits company lore about how important the crack rooms are. Company Phil does not get to decide what happens to Therapy Lady. He wants her to tell him stuff for company info. He tries to company persuade her. Apparently, there are doors opening everywhere and they can't be stopped. Is there any reason to care?
Uh, so basically, if you don't understand from the Wonderful notes. She's in a science room. She gets questioned. They are like, we were an MRI company, but then we found the back rooms. And now they're asking her questions about the back rooms, even though they already know all the answers,
Dude,
which is the weird
I
part.
just discovered stunning information. We just covered
What?
that entire movie scene by scene in an hour and a half. Less time than the runtime of the film.
Oh no. We aren't long
Oh,
man. We aren't even a long man of this
because
movie.
the thing about covering a movie scene by scene, there's a reason why it took like 4 hours to cover an
Well,
hour and a
we
half or a
are
2 hour
forgetting one
movie.
scene.
I don't care. Um,
We are forgetting one scene.
what? What is it? Is it the final like
At the end,
the
yeah,
final
at the end,
flashback?
everything like she starts she's not listening and then we get a scene in the back rooms and it's her but a floomp and it's floomped and it's sitting in a chair and then the movie ends.
Right. Anyway, as I was saying, usually it takes like double or triple the length of a film to cover it in full because every single scene has like dialogue. There's lines. We need to figure out what they mean. We need to uncover the subtext. There's logistics. There's events happening. What's causing this? Who knows this? And there's just so many moving parts that it takes a long time to go through it and give a full accounting. In this movie, there are so little moving parts that it actually takes less time to talk about the entire movie than the length of the movie.
Ah, it's astonishing. Our Mandalorian and Grogu movie was 4 hours and 10 minutes long. Granted, probably only 3 hours of those are scene by scene, but that's a long time.
For the record, that
This
movie
movie,
is way worse than this movie. Without a shadow of a doubt. That movie is a catastrophe. There's so much, every single, like,
yeah.
there's so much wrong with it, but there is still significantly more to talk about, and it is significantly more enjoyable to watch than the Backrooms, unfortunately. I never thought I'd see the day.
I'll I read this to you already, but after I watched the movie, I told my friend like I hated it, and he actually enjoyed it. In fact, he liked it more than Obsession,
Which
which is
is,
a thing happening on the
wow.
internet.
That's nuts. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But he was like, I feel like you're rage baiting me saying Obsession was better. And I was like, I feel like you're rage baiting me, dude. So I asked him like, why did you enjoy it? Please tell me. And he says, this is his reasoning for liking the movie. At the beginning, like I'm not insulting my friend. I'm just using like I'm not trying to bash on him at all. He's awesome. But it's like I just wanted to know. And this is his take. At the beginning, he was a guy trying to make ends meet in a failing marriage, working a job that isn't his dream, and using alcohol to cope. Then he discovers a portal to a new place where he becomes the master of his domain for a bit, until his own problems from earlier manifest into creatures and kill him. The same problems he was running from needed to be worked out, but he
Oh
kept running,
man.
and he reached a dead end. White Wally. I don't know if that's a reference to something. It says White Wally. The themes of trauma, accountability, and memory changing over time was right there. Lots of stuff happens. And I'll read my response as well, even though it's long. But I think this is the best summary I can give that's reasonable to why I thought the movie sucked. And I said, well, yeah, that's what people are saying the plot is. The reality is, we see him be angry, that his marriage ends, he finds the back rooms, he doesn't react to anything like a normal person would react to these scary events. And in the end, his conclusion, not in the end, but in the end of his adventures, he concludes that it must be mirrors with protecting like some sort of underground facility. Then off screen, he learns about the backrooms and he comes back and then can't convince therapy lady, so he goes to get proof. Then off screen, he becomes crazy and learns more lore. And then we find out the monster who's been in there the whole time was a backrooms flume of him, and it randomly betrays him after coexisting for however long. And then the conclusion to the story is that the therapist lady gets rescued by a company who has also been in the back rooms. The whole the Backrooms is an exaggeration of the cyclical nature of our minds and us running from our problems. We always end up, but we.
Wait, hang on, stop. You are you are roboting out all of a sudden.
Oh, really?
Yeah, try again.
Am I better?
Yeah, you're better. Pick up where you
Okay.
left off.
The whole theme of the Backrooms is that an exact is it the whole theme of the Backrooms is an exaggeration of the cyclical nature of our minds and us running from our problems, but always ending up in the same habits and same place. The furniture man is running from himself, and that is his twisted Backrooms. And as soon as he decides he doesn't need to change and accept himself, his bad habits consume himself. That's all well and good, but it doesn't matter how cool your theme is if the stuff actually happening is ridiculous. No way on earth someone discovers that and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna go back in." No way a normal person in what I'm fairly certain is a span of 12 hours goes from a normal human to completely insane, consuming other flimpy humans. And the whole running from yourself idea is ridiculous because he never actually runs from himself in the back rooms. He just coexists with himself and then is eaten when he accepts himself. And the whole plot concludes with the therapist lady being rescued by an unknown third party. That doesn't work with the theme at all because the whole thing is that your cyclical nature can only be broken by your choices. But her cycle is broken by somebody else's choice, and she ends up in the backrooms to begin with because of manipulation of an outside party. And the only reason I have under any understanding of the theme is not because it's shown in the story. It's because it's explicitly explained to me by narratives and exposition. The movie was supposed to be an inconclusive, come to your own interpretation, but there's a direct message and interpretation that is directly told to the viewer. It's just done incredibly poorly, and the story is unnecessarily slow. Shows like Better Call Saul or The Sopranos are considered very, very slow shows, but so much stuff happens in them, and there's so much like stuff about the universe that those are in that they can build suspense off of the incredibly slow suspense. This movie built suspense for 80 minutes before any scene of note actually happened, and all of it was just them walking into other rooms. And then it just ends.
Yep. And then it just ends.
And then it just ends.
A lot of stuff in this movie, you know, it could have worked in isolation, right? In theory, I like the scene with the therapist and man in the back rooms when he has her tied up. In theory, I like that scene if it's on the back end of like interesting build up and if it's followed by
Mhm.
interesting conclusion, but it isn't. I don't mind the monster. I think it's kind of cool in like an uncanny,
Yeah,
like, oh, what is this freaky like pirate thing way? You know, that's it's not exactly a played out trope of a type of monster,
yeah,
which I was worried it was going to end up just being like a big, you know, like the classic horror monster that is a tall, gangly thing.
yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I've already pretty much said everything that I want to say about it. I said most of it at the
I
beginning,
can't think of anything of note.
and then yeah, the scene
Yeah.
by scene, and here we are having our lives not been improved in any way by seeing this movie.
And the people on the internet are saying, "Oh, you just don't like it because it's the back rooms. You don't like the back rooms." But this is not.
I don't have a
You can
passionate
adapt
love
things.
for the back rooms. I think it's fine. I don't hate it though.
You can make an adaptation of something and change what it is, and that's okay. It just has to be good. The best adaptation, in my opinion, one of the best adaptations ever done, is How to Train Your Dragon. If you have watched the movie and read the books, they're completely different. They are nothing like each other, but they are based off of the same story. It's a coming of age story. And the people who made the movie realized this format wouldn't work very well. It wouldn't be that exciting as a movie. It's a fun book, but it wouldn't be what people want, and it wouldn't be a great story to adapt to the movie. So they created a story that follows the same themes and the same reasoning for why How to Train Your Dragon was created, and they used that to create something incredibly good. How to Train Your Dragon is a really good movie.
Game of Thrones.
They
That's
didn't do
another
that
good
in this.
example. At least in the first half, like the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, very different from the books. Tons of stuff that was in the books gets removed. The creators add, or the showrunners added stuff, and it's fantastic. Like in my opinion, first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones, if it had continued at that level for another 4 seasons, it would have been the greatest show ever made. But unfortunately, did not go that way. But that is to say, you can definitely adapt things, and we just both brought up an example of when it worked. And this is an example of when it definitely didn't. It works for some people. Some people like it. But mostly people don't seem to like this movie very much. Mostly people are disappointed. I saw a post that when I was still like kind of looking at the obsession subreddit, I've stopped doing it because I'm just exhausted by the insanity of people about that movie. But somebody made a post and they were like, "Oh, I just went to see Backrooms and it was about 10 times worse than Obsession, and it's one of the worst film watching experiences I've ever had." And I was like, there's no way it's that bad. You're overreacting. And then I went to see it and I was like, I kind of understand now why someone would say that.
Yeah, I definitely understand why someone would say that. It is truly abysmal,
I wouldn't say the
to say the
movie
least.
is like strictly terrible. That's the thing. There are there are
It's an abysmal
tons
experience.
there are tons of movies that are worse. But this movie, just in terms of like, this is the definition of a 5 out of 10. This is the perfect five. It is so painfully mediocre and boring. It's the perfect five. And yeah,
The
that's all I
perfect
got.
five. I'm going back to the colony, bro. I need a nap after this one.
I gotta go work in
I
the
need
cheese
to
factory.
consume some good content. Do you work in the cheese factory? Dang. I'm in the scurrying factory.
What?